You know, Rock Talk, I just got to ask you a question because you're sort of making allegations that there's a cult, God's Misfits. But other than these five, when I know the mainstream media interviewed a guy who allegedly was the head of God's Misfits, and he didn't even know these five.
It's not the same God's Misfits. I mean, you just
it's a different chapter. It's
well, no, this guy just got fed up one day and said, "Hey, I'm not going to these churches anymore. I'm going to have my own, and I'm just going to call myself God Misfits." When you have a cult, you have different things going on. You have sovereign citizens. With the other God's Misfits, they wasn't sovereign citizens. So just because they have the same name does not mean they were the same people. Like I believe entirely that the guy that originally had the name God's Misfits has nothing to do with this. This is sovereign citizens, and they are out to have their own cult, live off the land. You got a butcher that no longer lets the FDA in to do their inspections. There's a lot going on down there. So that would make me believe there is a cult.
So they're anti-government, but other than that, other than being anti-government, are they involved in crime? Are they involved in any ideology that should concern the government? Other than they are anti-government, but are they involved in actions that should put fear into the government, or are they just peaceful people that share an ideology that aren't going to harm anyone else? Well, we saw that they did harm two people. But I guess my question would be then, was God's Misfits, did it have anything to do with these two murders?
Oh, I believe it does. You can't, like I said before, I got lots of friends, but there's no way I could find four other friends to go unalive, say my son-in-law or somebody like that. It just wouldn't happen. That's not normal. So there's some kind of dedication, and what makes that dedication is usually some kind of cult. They're insane beliefs, and they all start thinking the same. And do these five think that they were protecting these kids by unaliving their mother? And they didn't care about the other mother that was also being taken from their poor children.
Yep. Rebecca Marie Melvin, Clint Twombly was running for sheriff in another county, but since his truck was used by his brother, makes me wonder how his election went or is going. Good point. Good point. Yeah. That's why we're talking about the incestuous nature of this area. Clint Twombly is Cole Twombly's cousin. So,
right. And in the arrest affidavit, it states in there that Clint Twombly called the police because there was a white cattle trailer on his property and he didn't know where it came from and he didn't know who owned it. And that is in the documents.
And that was the trailer that
yes,
transported the bodies, right?
Yes. But he's the one that reported it. It just all of a sudden ended up on his property. You don't know where it came from. But then come to find out they used his truck. None of it makes sense here.
Sheila C. Absolutely. They are own country and the U.S. has zero jurisdiction over them. They use own constitution as well as they expect to be treated as foreign dignitaries. I believe you're speaking about the sovereign citizens. I love when the sovereign citizens are pulled over by a cop that knows the law and he just rips them out through their window and puts unsovereign handcuffs on them.
Yeah.
I love that.
The other thing is Paul Grice filed a 35-page document last year. And in that document, there's just a lot of garbage. But he claims that his kids are his property and the government can't tell him what to do with them. And so they also believe the government should have nothing to do with, say, their kids, like going to school, having social security numbers. But again, look how many he's got court-appointed attorneys at our taxpayers' expense. That's from the government. I'm sorry.
But you know something? Paul Grice is as dumb as a rock. So it's like, 32 pages. I don't think he's read 32 pages in his lifetime, So Sherilyn Schaffner, thank you at Rock Chalk for being so dedicated to this case. You be careful. Absolutely. Everyone wishes Rock Chalk the best. And I wish you would have someone with you when you drive around in this area because this is a 2-person or 3-person job, not a 1-person job,
Well, I do have 2 dogs. I have 2 great big trained German Shepherds. That is Smith and Wesson. and they usually go everywhere with me. So it's pretty hard. They wasn't with me that day, and they should have been, because I'll tell you what, they got a own release on the SUV K9 unit too. They can release themselves from the vehicle, and the minute that lady would have grabbed my arm, I don't usually travel alone, so we're good with that.
Well, that's good, because there is always strength in numbers, as you see on the screen.